Sheheryar, are you ready?
Yes, I am ready.
Let's go then. Well, welcome to episode number 17 of Lessons with Leaders. Today, my guest is Sheheryar. He has an interesting new company that he's starting, which we should talk about today. Sheheryar, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Right. So tell us about the name of your company and then tell us how we met. And then we'll carry on with the rest of the questions.
Okay. So my company is called Alaagi. Now, how I came up with that name is that Alaagi in Greek means change. And what our company does is we are a bioplastic manufacturing company. So we are bringing the change that we need in this world. And the reason I chose it to be Greek is because I had a watch brand called Omega, and the brand name is also Greek. So, that inspires me that one day when this brand will be successful, that's the watch I will get. So that's about the company's name. And the way we met was I was pitching at the Entrepreneurship Center at St. Mary's University. That's where I'm a student at right now. And Emo was one of our judges for that competition. And so we had the competition, and after that, I met Emo, and I took away his food, which I didn't let him eat for like the next 30 minutes, and then we just talked about how his journey has been and how I'm starting at my journey at SMU Center. And yeah, that's how we began.
Excellent. Yes. Well, I usually there's a lot of food in all my events.
Yeah.
I love food. So great. Now,
I can't
Alaagi.
imagine how you even finish food.
Well, you know what? In the end, it's patience, right? That's
Okay,
kind of one of the
yes, it
things you
makes
use to
sense.
build a business is patience. So I patiently
Yeah, it makes
wait, and I
sense.
know that in the end, I will finish my food. I take my business, as in food business, very seriously. So,
Yeah.
Alaagi, I love the name. I love the concept. So again,
Thank you.
what problem are you trying to solve with Alaagi?
Okay. So we all know that plastics are a problem. I mean, it's a very general problem that we have been hearing about this for a long time now, and we see it everywhere. We walk on a sidewalk, we see like plastics like being thrown everywhere, and it's not going anywhere. So that's a major problem. Another problem we have is what are we doing about it? What's the alternative to that? And I did some research onto it, and I found that, after all of the replacements that we have currently, the paper bags, paper straws, cups, and all the bioplastic companies that are coming in, putting all the bioplastic in the market, we just remove 1% of the plastics. That's crazy that we see
Wow.
paper bags everywhere and only 1% have been removed. So what's wrong? What are we not doing right with the current technology that we have? And so I started to explore in depth, and I found that it's mostly related to cost and availability of raw materials,
Right.
which is where I came up with Alagi, and then I decided to do something differently from those companies so that we can mass produce and change and make a bigger impact.
Okay. So to make that impact, then you have to have something unique about your product. So what is different
Yes.
about your product that
So we currently are manufacturing bioplastics from seaweed. Now, seaweed, compared to other raw materials from which bioplastics are made, such as corn, potatoes, that grows on land. So those plants are comparing with the food, So instead of putting food on the table, now we have to make plastics from that. So there's a big competition going on with that, and of course, food wins first. So plastics are not being pushed as they should, in that case. And it makes sense. Where seaweed it grows in the ocean, it's an invasive species, and it's a lot. And like, there are countries and companies paying people to remove and just get rid of it. So what we did is that we use the materials that we get, like the sugar molecules from within seaweed, and we're manufacturing plastics from that.
oh,
Now, so there are companies who have recently started to research on it, but nobody's doing a major work in this field.
okay.
So we are coming up with that.
Now while you were doing your pitching competition, you showed me or you showed us some of the
Yes.
samples that you had,
Yep.
right? Could you talk about those? And do you have any on you at the moment?
So normally I brought a whole platter on that day. So I had like different products on there. Currently I do not have that, but I carry piece of that plastic in my wallet. So whenever I talk to anybody, I just pull that out and they're amazed by it.
Excellent.
So this is a basic film of that bioplastic. It's it's exactly like plastic, but it's made from seaweed. And the beauty of this thing is that you can throw it it's compostable. You can throw it in your bin and it will biodegrade within a single year under natural conditions. Whereas other bioplastics are not completely compostable. It's something that we see, oh, it's green, it has a leaf on it, so it's environmentally friendly. No, these plastics also require industrial composting. So unless they're been sent to special facilities, they
Yes.
will not degrade. They will sit there and for eternity. And so this is something that we need to address because not many people are there are so many people who are working on this, but not many people are educated on this. And so they don't know that, okay, if this is industrially compostable or if this is naturally compostable. And then they just miss the whole point. And then, these bioplastics end up in our landfills eventually.
So it's creating a problem from a new solution, so to speak.
Exactly. So, yeah.
Okay, so now I know you have a prototype because you showed some bags and all while we were
Yes.
there. Um,
Yes.
so have you tested the properties and compared them to what people expect from a bag, so to speak?
Yes. So, currently, I got hired I think 2 weeks ago with a professor at St. Mary's University. He's also a materials engineer, and we both are working together to test and compare these properties and create a report that we can publish. And based on those results, we can come up with a new material or keep on, updating our design so we can eventually reach a point where we have a plastic that's comparable to regular petroleum-based plastics and has the similar properties as those.
Excellent. Now, I think this would be a good point for you to just talk a little bit about your engineering background. Are you a chemical engineer?
Yes. So I was originally born and brought up in Dubai. That's where I'm from. And then I moved to Canada 2 years ago. But back in Dubai, I did 2 years of chemical engineering and I transferred my credits to St. Mary's University here in Canada. And I have one more semester remaining, and then I will be done with university.
Wow, and then you joined us
So
as
yeah,
an alumni, so
yeah.
that's great.
Yes. And
Excellent.
plus, I've also worked as a materials engineer for almost a year now with the same professor. So yeah, it's been a great journey, and I feel engineers are, these people are closely related to magicians
Yeah,
because the things they're doing in labs is purely magic, creating
amazing.
stuff out of yeah from the earth and coming up with solutions like that. It's just fascinating.
That's good. So how did you come up with the idea? I mean, you kind of looked at the problem, but then how did
Yes.
you know to pick seaweed?
Okay. So, I mean, it all started with, just chemical engineering, as in why did I choose that degree? I always believed that there was some part of me that, who wanted to help or like provide solutions to major world problems. But then that was just a saying, but then I never got a chance to implement that. But then recently, previous winter semester, I took a course, engineering design too, and it was an amazing course. It opened up parts of my brain that I just didn't know existed, made me more creative. And after that, we were done with that course. I then joined the Entrepreneurship Center's pitching competition at St. Mary's, and they had this initial like speaker that came up, and then they influenced us to come up with ideas for for a business or something. And that's where I started to look into bioplastics because this is something that I was passionate about, but I never found that okay this can work in the future or not. Then So what I did is I did a lot of research because as I mentioned, I was mostly free. I had all the time in the world. So I read like I think 100 research and patents from all around the world. And then I came up to a conclusion that, hey, none of these are working, none of these bioplastics are working. But during my research, I came up with seaweed. So there are professors who have worked on this, but they haven't brought it to the market. And then I just found it to be the fit to the puzzle like no other. So then I decided that, hey, this is something I want to pursue.
Well, it's funny how sometimes it just takes an odd thing to spark an interest or put some flame underneath the interest,
Exactly.
and then it takes it to the next level. Now, talking about the next level,
Exactly.
have you figured out what kind of revenue model you would need
Yeah.
for this to work out for you?
So, of course, we can work with business to business. So B2B is will be our priorities for direct sales. And I've also talked to over 50 companies by now. And out of which one of the best one that I got was Highliner Seafood. Now, it's a major company. It's based in the US. It supplies seafood all around the world. And they are requesting for a special type of plastic, which is called the 10K OTR, which means 10,000 oxygen permeability transmission rate. So OTR means oxygen transmission rate. Now, while I was doing some research on this, there is no bioplastic company that has made a completely compostable bioplastic. So we will be the first in the world to do it. So that was interesting. If I can achieve this, this would be groundbreaking. So so that would be our main point. So direct sales would be one factor. Another factor would be that I will, of course, patent this idea, and I can license sell licenses to other companies around the world because I just don't want this idea to stick with me. Of course, I'm trying to help the world, and I want this to be out there so that people can benefit from this and also change the world in general.
Right. Well, that's great. And people actually, since you have it out in the world, people can even come up with things to help people make it work better, right? So,
Exactly. Yeah.
and I think that's from the whole supply chain, from production to when it actually gets to be used wherever it's being used.
Yes. That exactly.
Cool. Do you have a team you're working with? I mean, you mentioned the professor, but who else are you working
Yes.
to get this going?
So the professor is more like a supervisor, so he would help me out with reading these tests that I have come up with, like operating the machines and all of that type of stuff. But I do not have a team, and this is what I'm currently looking for. I need people to work with me on this because, of course, this is not a small product that I can, just work with and then develop alone in a year or 2 years. It's a long-term project. And for long-term projects, the best way to go about is to have a good team, like-minded people who can come up in my team, help me out, and together we can change the world. That's the main goal of this company. So I need people who can, come and collaborate with me.
That's good. Now, do you have a list of the kinds of, I guess, people and positions that you are looking for?
It would be more of just research and develop. So I know areas where I'm working in my business, but there are some other areas which I know that somebody else can perform better than me. For example, in business terms, like I'm an engineer. So as an engineer, I would build a product and I would try to make it more stronger and better so that it fits the market needs well. But then what is my market? Like where can I sell? How can I sell? All of this is something that's very new to me because I'm not a business student. But of course, if there's somebody who would be more experienced and educated in this field, I would definitely love to have them on board so that they can work on those sides of my startup that I'm not doing. So then
Okay,
I can focus more completely on the product itself.
right. Now, have you heard of a company in Halifax called Acadian Sea Plants?
Yes, I have. And they are doing it. So they basically why I chose why it was a perfect puzzle for me to choose seaweed, especially in Nova Scotia, is because we are completely surrounded with seaweed. If you go towards Cape Breton or I think there was another place, Lunenburg.
Yes.
Yeah. So on the way, if you stop by like a shoreline or something, you see tons of seaweed just lying there, it's just waiting there to just degrade and then just grow back again next season.
Right.
So it's an ideal spot to harvest seaweed and then use it to make plastics, and that just is amazing. So Acadian Sea Plant also uses that as their factor. So they harvest around, I think, 20 tons a week of seaweed.
Wow.
So yeah, I researched, I looked into them, and it's an amazing company. They're doing great work, but they're not working with plastics. They are working with other areas. So seaweed is used in a lot of things. I mean, we
Cosmetics
people,
and medicinal,
yeah,
I believe.
yes. As even in ice creams, it's like a thickening agent. So
Oh,
we never realize, So it's there in our day-to-day items, but we never realize its potential. But with plastics, of course, it will be great.
excellent. Now, do you at this point have a website or any online place where people who are trying to follow what you're doing can go to and get some more information?
Yes, I have alaagi.com. So alaagi.com is my website. It's relatively new. It's a beautiful website. I worked hard to make it, and I currently keep updating it, based on where we're going, what our journey is, and what progress we've made. And it's also a place where people can find our social handles and contact us, and for future collaborations or partnerships, and even if people want to work with us, exactly like I mentioned, I need a team, so that's a great way to connect with me.
Excellent. I would put that in the description of the video later on so people
Yeah,
can
sounds great.
do that. So, if you were to say you had the 1 minute pitch and somebody says, why should people care about what you're trying to do? What will you say?
For a 1 minute pitch,
Yes.
um there was a research that we are consuming over 20 kilograms of plastics in our lifetime. That's like having those two large dustbins that we see outside,
Yes.
those trash bins. So we're consuming all of that. I mean, microplastics are found everywhere in our lungs, in our bloodstreams, and we don't know how much of an impact this will have in our future, because scientists are currently studying this point. So it's releasing toxins. It's causing. There was a research that these microplastics are causing Alzheimer's, and they're affecting us majorly. But we currently cannot put a number as to how much this would affect ourselves and our future generation. So we need to come up with this idea to protect it. But like I mentioned, that what 1% will not change, and it's a very slow process. So we need to find alternatives that will perform better in this area. And seaweed, I feel, would definitely change a majority of the plastic industry that currently exists.
Excellent. Look, I think what you're doing is fantastic work. I mean, I think that we have to think about the world as it is now, and if we keep at this pace, what will happen, and what kind of legacy
Exactly.
or problem we're leaving for the people who are going to come after us. So
Exactly.
it's stuff we have to start fixing now. So that sounds like a good idea to me. So look,
Yeah.
um, I'm happy we talked. I'm happy I met you,
Thank you so
and
much. Same here.
and if there's any way I could help, just let me know. I'm ready to come in and try and do what I can do. I'm not a chemical engineer like you, but maybe I'm a people engineer. I connect people and stuff.
Exactly. No, I really appreciate it. And of course, our connection will go a long ways, because you are you make a lot of impact on in Halifax, and like on our society, because I've seen you everywhere, now that I follow you on LinkedIn, and I start following you everywhere, and it's like, emo here, emo here, emo here.
People
So
everywhere.
yeah, emo is everywhere.
Yeah,
So you're a great connection to have, and of course, with networking, it's great because you get to meet people, and these people will help you grow your businesses and grow as a person yourself.
excellent. Well, look, I'm glad. I'm glad. We'll call this the partnership. I'm glad.
Yes,
we can work on this, and I'm sure that when I have things that need a chemical engineer to come in, I could tap you to
I
give
would
me
appreciate that.
some good ideas on that.
Thank you.
Look,
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for coming on this podcast. I hope this is the first of many. And I think that even
For sure.
as you keep progressing, we could talk about things. If you think that any things we could talk about that would help move you closer to where we're trying to go. I know it's a journey and it'll continue for a while because it's trying to improve incrementally, every day and all that.
Yes.
We could work on that. And I'm super proud of you for what you're doing. And
Thank you so much.
I think that in the end, with each of us doing our little part, we can change the world.
Yes.
We'll change the world. We're changing the world, right?
Yes, exactly. Yes, for
Excellent.
sure.
So I will give you the last words before I say goodbye.
That's what I wanted to mention, that we are currently facing irreversible tipping points. If we act now, we can yet make a change in our future with seaweed. And thank you.